Imagine a shadow slipping through the cracks of your dreams, whispering promises of forbidden desire, only to leave your soul drained and your spirit tethered to an unseen abyss. In the flickering candlelight of the Middle Ages, such visions were not mere fantasies. They were warnings of the succubi, seductive demons believed to prey on the hearts and minds of the unwary. These enigmatic entities, cloaked in beauty yet steeped in malevolence, haunted the imaginations of scholars, priests, and mystics, their names whispered in fear across Europe's darkened villages. But what were succubi, truly? Were they mere figments of a superstitious era, or did they embody a deeper truth about the human soul's vulnerability to temptation? In this video, we'll unravel the chilling legend of the succubi, the most dangerous demons of the Middle Ages. We'll journey through their origins in ancient lore, explore their role in medieval spirituality, and uncover the esoteric wisdom they reveal about desire, energy, and the battle for the soul. You'll discover not only the historical and philosophical roots of these beings, but also practical spiritual defenses to shield yourself from their modern equivalents, those subtle forces that drain your vitality and cloud your spiritual path. From ancient texts to practical spiritual defenses, this exploration will leave you both enlightened and empowered. Join us as we pierce the veil of mystery surrounding the succubi, revealing secrets that have been hidden for centuries.
In the shadowed corridors of medieval Europe, where candlelight danced against stone walls and the air thrummed with whispers of the divine and the damned, the succubus emerged as a figure both feared and fascination-inducing. To understand these enigmatic beings, we must journey back to the crossroads of ancient myth and medieval theology, where the boundaries between spirit and flesh blurred, and the human soul was seen as a battleground for celestial and infernal forces. The succubus, a demoness said to seduce men in their sleep, draining their life force through forbidden intimacy, was not merely a product of superstition, but a profound symbol of humanity's struggle with desire, power, and spiritual purity.
The origins of the succubus trace back to the mists of antiquity, long before the Middle Ages cast its Gothic pallor over Europe. In ancient Mesopotamia, the demoness Lilitu, a nocturnal spirit who preyed on men and newborns, whispered through cuneiform tablets, her name a warning of chaos untamed. The Hebrews wove her into their lore as Lilith, Adam's first wife, who, in defiance of divine order, fled Eden to become a creature of the night, seducing and tormenting the unwary. By the time medieval scholars like Thomas Aquinas and Augustine penned their treatises, these ancient tales had merged with Christian demonology, birthing the succubus as a distinct entity. Unlike the brutish demons of possession, succubi were cunning, cloaked in beauty, and armed with an intimate understanding of human weakness, a mirror reflecting the temptations that lurked within the soul. In the medieval worldview, shaped by a church that saw the body as a vessel for sin, the succubus was a chilling allegory for the dangers of unchecked desire. Theologians like Heinrich Kramer, author of the infamous Malleus Maleficarum, warned that succubi were not mere figments, but agents of Satan, sent to ensnare men by exploiting their basest instincts. These demons, they claimed, could assume human form, their beauty a deceptive veil woven from illusion, capable of draining a man's vitality until his body withered and his soul teetered on the edge of damnation. Yet the succubus was more than a moral cautionary tale. It embodied a deeper esoteric truth about the interplay of energy and intention. In Hermetic teachings, the succubus could be seen as a manifestation of unbalanced energies, desire divorced from love, passion untethered from purpose, drawing the soul into a vortex of depletion. This historical tapestry reveals why the succubus was so feared. It was not just a creature of fleshly temptation, but a symbol of the soul's vulnerability to external and internal forces. The Church's obsession with succubi reflected a broader anxiety about the fragility of spiritual discipline in an era plagued by plague, war, and uncertainty. Yet esoteric traditions offered a counterpoint. Rather than mere victims, humans could master their energies, transforming temptation into a path of enlightenment. The succubus, then, was both a warning and a teacher, urging vigilance over one's thoughts, desires, and spiritual boundaries. As we move forward, we'll explore the mechanics of this seductive force, unraveling how it was believed to operate and what it reveals about the eternal dance between light and shadow within us all.
Picture a moonless night, where the veil between worlds thins and a figure emerges from the shadows of your dreams, radiant, alluring, yet carrying a chill that seeps into your bones. This is the succubus, a demoness whose power lies not in brute force, but in the subtle art of seduction, weaving a web of desire that ensnares the soul before the mind can resist. In the medieval imagination, succubi were not mere specters of folklore. They were believed to be real, tangible threats, capable of crossing the threshold between the infernal and the human. To understand their danger, we must first unravel the core mechanics of their existence, how they were thought to operate, why they targeted the vulnerable, and what their presence reveals about the delicate balance of energy within the human spirit.
In medieval demonology, the succubus was a shapeshifter, a master of illusion who could mold herself into the image of a man's deepest desires. Unlike other demons, who might possess the body or torment the mind with fear, the succubus worked through intimacy, infiltrating dreams or appearing in waking moments as a vision of impossible beauty. Texts like the Compendium Maleficarum described succubi as demons who thrived on the life force of their victims, siphoning energy through acts of seduction that left men weakened, confused, and spiritually adrift. The process was not merely physical, it was metaphysical. The succubus, it was said, fed on the vital essence, often equated with the soul's energy or the body's spiritual vigor, leaving behind a husk of exhaustion and moral decay. This was no random predation. The succubus was believed to target those whose spiritual defenses were already compromised, those whose desires had grown unchecked, like a flame left untended in a dry forest. To grasp this, imagine the human soul as a fortress, its walls built from discipline, intention, and spiritual awareness. Within this fortress burns a sacred fire, the life force, or what esoteric traditions call prana, chi, or the divine spark. The succubus, in this analogy, is a thief who slips through cracks in the walls, drawn to the glow of that inner fire. She does not storm the gates with violence, but whispers promises of ecstasy, exploiting the unguarded desires that lurk within. Medieval scholars believed that succubi could manipulate dreams, crafting visions so vivid that the dreamer mistook them for reality. These dreams, often laced with guilt or forbidden pleasure, were seen as a gateway through which the demon could drain the victim's energy, leaving them spiritually and physically depleted. The Malleus Maleficarum even suggested that succubi could collect vital essence for infernal purposes, a chilling notion that underscored their role as agents of cosmic sabotage. But why were succubi considered so uniquely dangerous? Unlike other demons, their power lay in their subtlety and their ability to exploit the human condition itself. Desire, after all, is not inherently evil. It is the fuel of creation, the spark of ambition, the root of love. Yet when desire becomes unmoored from purpose or purity, it becomes a vulnerability, a crack in the fortress through which the succubus could enter. Theologians like Albertus Magnus argued that succubi were not just external entities, but reflections of inner imbalances, manifestations of the psyche's own shadows. In this sense, the succubus was both a literal demon and a metaphor for the destructive potential of unchecked passion. Esoteric traditions, such as those preserved in Hermetic texts, echoed this idea, suggesting that every human carries within them a shadow self, a repository of suppressed desires and fears that could be exploited by forces beyond the veil. This interplay of inner and outer worlds is key to understanding the succubus's allure. In the medieval age, a time when the church held sway over matters of body and soul, the succubus was a warning against the dangers of spiritual negligence. To fall prey to a succubus was not just to sin, but to lose a piece of one's divine essence, to drift further from the path of enlightenment. Yet within this fear lay a profound esoteric insight. The succubus's power was not absolute. It depended on the victim's willingness, conscious or unconscious, to surrender to temptation. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the mechanics of this seduction, exploring the psychological and spiritual dimensions of the succubus's influence and how medieval mystics and modern spiritual seekers alike have sought to confront and overcome this ancient adversary.
As we peer deeper into the enigma of the succubus, we find not just a demon, but a mirror held up to the human soul, reflecting its desires, fears, and unacknowledged shadows. In the medieval mind, the succubus was a master manipulator, weaving illusions that blurred the line between dream and reality. But its true danger lay in its ability to exploit the subtle interplay of mind, spirit, and energy. To fully grasp the succubus's power, we must explore its psychological and spiritual dimensions, the contradictions in its lore, and the esoteric insights that reveal how these beings, or their modern equivalents, continue to challenge our spiritual sovereignty. This is not merely a tale of ancient superstition, but a timeless lesson in the art of guarding the soul against forces that seduce and consume. The succubus's method was insidious, rooted in its ability to infiltrate the psyche. Medieval demonologists, such as Johannes Nieder in his Formicarius, described succubi as entities that could enter the dreamscape, crafting visions so potent they felt more real than waking life. These dreams were not random. They were tailored to the victim's deepest desires, fears, or unresolved conflicts. Imagine a tapestry woven from your own thoughts, its threads drawn from memories of longing or forbidden fantasies, each stitch tightening around your will. The succubus, in this metaphor, was the weaver, using the raw material of the human mind to create a trap. Once ensnared, the victim's energy, described in esoteric traditions as the vital force or anima, was siphoned, leaving them spiritually hollow. This process was often accompanied by physical symptoms, exhaustion, melancholy, or a sense of disconnection from the divine, as if a piece of their soul had been stolen.
Yet the succubus's power was not without contradictions. Some medieval texts, like the De Universo of William of Auvergne, debated whether succubi were purely spiritual beings or could manifest physically, a question that sparked heated theological disputes. If they were illusions, how could they drain life force? If physical, how did they cross the veil from the infernal to the mortal realm? These questions point to a deeper truth. The succubus was as much a psychological phenomenon as a supernatural one. In esoteric traditions, particularly those influenced by Gnostic and Hermetic thought, the succubus was seen as a projection of the lower self, the ego-driven impulses that pull the soul away from its divine purpose. This perspective suggests that the succubus's power was not absolute, but depended on the victim's inner state. A soul fortified by clarity and discipline could resist. One weakened by guilt, obsession, or spiritual neglect became easy prey. This nuance reveals a lesser-known aspect of succubi, their role as teachers, albeit harsh ones. In the Hermetic principle of as above, so below, every challenge is an opportunity for growth. The succubus, by exploiting desire, forced the individual to confront their weaknesses. Medieval mystics, such as St. John of the Cross, spoke of the dark night of the soul, a period of spiritual trial where temptations, whether demonic or psychological, tested one's resolve. The succubus, in this light, was a catalyst, compelling the soul to face its shadows and emerge stronger. Esoteric texts, like those of the Rosicrucians, took this further, suggesting that demons, like succubi, were not always external, but could be manifestations of unbalanced energies within. To encounter a succubus was to wrestle with one's own unchecked desires, a battle that could lead to spiritual awakening if won. The succubus's influence also extended to the collective psyche. In the Middle Ages, tales of succubi fueled moral panics, often linked to accusations of witchcraft. Women, in particular, were scapegoated, as the succubus's feminine form reinforced patriarchal fears of female sexuality as a gateway to sin. Yet this cultural obsession obscured a deeper truth. The succubus was not bound by gender, but by the universal human experience of temptation. In modern terms, we might see succubi in the forces that drain our energy today: addictive behaviors, toxic relationships, or the seductive pull of materialism. Like their medieval counterparts, these modern demons thrive on our inattention, feeding on the vitality we surrender when we lose focus on our spiritual path. As we move to the practical applications, we'll explore how to recognize and resist these forces, drawing on ancient wisdom and modern techniques to protect and reclaim your inner fire.
As we draw the veil back over the mystery of the succubus, we stand at the threshold of a profound realization. These seductive shadows, whether born of medieval fear or the eternal dance of human desire, are not merely relics of a superstitious past, but mirrors reflecting the timeless battle for our soul's sovereignty. From their origins in ancient myths to their prominence in the Gothic tapestry of the Middle Ages, succubi have haunted humanity as both demons and teachers, revealing the fragility of our spiritual defenses and the power of our inner resolve. We've journeyed through their historical roots, woven from Mesopotamian spirits and Christian demonology, and explored their mechanics, how they exploit desire, infiltrate dreams, and siphon the vital fire that fuels our existence. We've also armed ourselves with practical tools, dream journaling, protective visualization, and mindful reflection to guard against these forces and transform temptation into a path of awakening. The succubus, in its deepest essence, is a reminder that the greatest battles are fought not in the external world, but within the sacred chambers of the self. In the flickering candlelight of your own soul, every desire, every unguarded thought becomes a gateway either to depletion or to enlightenment. The medieval mystics knew this, as did the alchemists and hermetic sages who saw in every challenge a chance to transmute base impulses into divine clarity. Today, the succubus may wear a different face, perhaps the allure of endless distractions, the pull of toxic attachments, or the seductive whisper of self-doubt, but its lesson remains unchanged. To master your energy is to master your destiny. By cultivating awareness, grounding your spirit, and aligning your desires with your higher purpose, you reclaim the power to shape your reality, untouchable by any force that seeks to dim your light. Now, as you step away from this exploration, carry this truth with you. You are not a pawn in the cosmic game, but a creator, a spark of the divine clothed in human form. Reflect on the desires that stir within you. Are they flames that illuminate your path, or shadows that threaten to consume it? Begin with the practices we've shared, a journal by your bedside, a moment of visualization each dawn, a pause to question what pulls at your soul. These small acts are not mere rituals, but declarations of your spiritual sovereignty, each one a step toward a life of clarity and purpose. The succubus, whether demon or metaphor, has no power over a soul that knows itself. So, let this be your call to action. Awaken to your inner fire, guard it fiercely, and let it guide you through the shadows. The mysteries of the unseen are vast, but so is your capacity to navigate them. Subscribe to join us as we continue to unveil the secrets of the esoteric, and share in the comments how you've begun to protect your energy or confront your own inner shadows. The path to enlightenment is yours to walk. Step boldly and let no shadow dim your light.